Okay, I want to touch on two subjects in this video: the actors' writer's strike and the Barbie movie. First off, the writer's strike. Okay, here's the thing: you got Bryan Cranston, great actor, Breaking Bad, great show. You got Fran Drescher and Mark Ruffalo. They're all like screaming and shouting about how we will not be replaced by machines, by AI. It's like, here's the thing. You look at a lot of the stuff that's happened last couple of years, there's been a lot of people who have been probably unfairly replaced by machines in industries that are arguably more important than Hollywood. You know, people in manufacturing, the oil and heating industry. In fact, in industries that Mark Ruffalo himself has helped try to kill. You know, because he's, and those people were just basically told to, oh, too bad, so sad, suck it up, deal with it, learn how to code. And that would be the most ironic thing of all, if that's what turned out. Some of these people learn how to code and they're doing AI shit. Anyways, like I said in another video previous, there's blame on both sides. Perhaps the studios are being too greedy, but you look at a lot of the shit that's been pumped out of studios, out of Hollywood lately. Is there any even good movies coming out? And then you look at like the writing. Okay, yeah, I understand. Maybe there's some writers that don't make a lot. But you look at a lot of the shows, She-Hulk and whatnot, and it's like the writing is absolutely atrocious. You know, She-Hulk. You know, the whole thing about like, oh, she's better at controlling her anger better than Bruce. Like, who thought of this? Like, Bruce Banner's literally a guy who has to control his anger and who has to learn how to do it. Otherwise, whole fucking cities get destroyed. And hack writers write this shit and they expect to like be praised for it. It's like, no. Here's the thing. I don't want AI replacing anybody. What I want is for indie writers. You know, people on the ground floor, indie writers who actually give a fuck about like source material or about characters, about like whether it's comic book characters, whether it's like pulp characters, people who actually give a shit about these characters. I want them getting a fair shot. Push aside these hack Hollywood writers who, we've seen it, you know, The Witcher. Henry Cavill pretty much left the show because the showrunners, they weren't following the source material. That's the problem. That is a problem. So, get some like on the ground indie writers writing some of this shit, whether it's Rob Rhymes or J. or Manfred yeah, you know, or Styx Hexhammer or Razor Fist. Any one of them would do. You know, it's just, and in fact, like I said before, Hollywood definitely needs a cleansing. You know, the whole like what's the name? Like they're not completely innocent or clean themselves. Like, you know, you look at like all this stuff. Okay, a bad movie comes out, or it's like poorly written, and people are like, oh, you must be like, oh, you're problematic. You're a bigot. It's like, no. It's always like Captain Marvel or whatever. Oh, these fragile man babies have a problem with like strong female characters. It's like, no. You look back at film history. Linda Hamilton in the Terminator movies. Sigourney Weaver in the Alien movies. Those were characters that and actresses that were universally loved because they were like, they were feminine, but they were capable and tough as nails, but they weren't presented as being like totally fucking perfect right off the bat. And that's the thing with the She-Hulk show. She's presented as being absolutely perfect right off the bat. And it's like, well, okay, where do you go from there? If you present a character as being totally fucking perfect, like, there's no character development, there's no hero's journey, unless you have that character being taken down a peg or two. Like the first Thor movie, where, look at that, Thor was like kind of an arrogant douchebag. You know, he thought he knew better. He thought he was like the guy. He thought he knew everything more than Odin did. And what happened? Odin like took away his powers and banished his ass to Earth, and Thor had to like rise to the challenge and prove himself worthy without his powers, which he did. But would the showrunners of She-Hulk actually do that in the current year? Probably not, because, you know, you can't have a strong, independent woman have to learn humility. And that's not, disclaimer, that's not me like trying to like shit on women or whatever. It's just general statement, man or woman character. There has to be some sort of character development. Because you cannot present a character as being perfect right off the bat without... Because where is the drama there? Where is the... there's no development there. You know what I mean? You know? Male characters in the Marvel Universe have often had to learn humility. Tony Stark, Iron Man, starts off as a cocky, you know, kind of an arrogant dick, you know, arms dealer. And he, you know, playboy. And he learns, yeah, it's probably not the best way to go through life. But it was, yeah. As Eric July said, you know, this best opportunity right now for indie writers to rise to the occasion. So people, you know, Hollywood types are all worried about, oh, machines are going to replace us. We will not be replaced by machines. So no. How would you do better? How would you write and make better movies? Not just like, there are so many good indie like horror directors and film directors, not just horror, but like film directors in America and Canada that are making like awesome movies, you know? It's like, it's almost like Hollywood is an outdated model. You know, they're like fucking spending millions on like CGI. They're all worried about AI. Meanwhile, it's all CGI. There's no practical effects anymore. No stop motion animation. No hands-on makeup effects anymore. So it's like, you pretty much all let this happen. And then you also contributed to like people in other industries that actually that are actually the heartbeat of the economy going. Like I said, you know, Mark Ruffalo is a big like anti-fucking oil whatever guy. Well, dude, you scream and shout about like being replaced. You fucking destroyed other people's jobs. Not to mention all the other stuff that like Mark Ruffalo is like condoning. I've already said that before, but Anyways, now on to Barbie. I've not seen it because I'm a guy, so I'm not. Didn't play with Barbie, so like, why would I go see a Barbie movie? That being said, I've read the plot synopsis, and I look at all this discourse on Twitter and online, whatever. But Barbie is woke, it's trash, whoa, it hates men, and other people like, okay, Uncle Ethan, EVS. It's like, no, you got the wrong idea. It's like, okay. Because, I think reading the synopsis of the movie, it actually does seem to be kind of based. Because it starts off, like Barbie World. All the Barbies are like in charge of everything. They have all the positions of authority, and all the Kens are just like basically fucking goofs, goofing off on the beach. They don't do anything, and they're like second-class citizens, and that's where all the outrage is. Apparently, from like Ben Shapiro and all them. Oh my God, like they're they hate men, and it's like, well, look at how the movie progresses. Apparently, and I've not seen the movie. I've just read the synopsis. Okay, it starts off like that. The thing to remember is, it is apparently a movie for women who used to play with Barbies. And you think back to like how little girls play with like toys or Barbies. As it's been said, they insert themselves into a toy. So little girls, Barbie is their whole world. Ken is just kind of like off to the side, Barbie's friend. Because they're obviously not thinking about like anything else. Like whatever, marriage or whatever, or hooking up or whatever. Obviously, because they're little kids. It's not appropriate. And the whole thing, okay, yeah, Kens are treated as second-class citizens. But apparently what happens is, they go to the real world and Ken's like, oh yeah, patriarchy, which, the whole like idea of like patriarchy making like forcing things or making women do things. It's like a lot of stuff that gets blamed on patriarchy. It's just biology. That's a different subject. But so, anyways, the whole idea of like the Kens or men like being useless tools and not doing anything, not building anything, and people not getting married, not having kids, not keeping civilization going, the species going. Obviously, that's a childish fantasy. That does not. It only works in Barbie world. It does not work in the real world. And apparently, in the movie, Barbie chooses to live in the real world to actually be a full real woman, and she realizes that in Barbie world as well, they cannot treat the Kens as second-class citizens, and they realize that things have to be balanced and equal. And it's like, well, that sounds pretty reasonable. I don't know if I'd say it's based, but it sounds pretty reasonable because obviously, men and women do have biological functions that complement each other, and the real world, does not exist without us coexisting. That's just absolute reality. That's the real world. So I don't know. I honestly don't know what Shapiro and all them are getting upset about. Because that sounds actually like, to me, that sounds pretty reasonable. But anyways, let me know your thoughts. I'm out.